Idaho is a phenomenal state for gun owners, but there are some towns that are going to be better for your Second Amendment rights. I'm going to go over the top towns in Idaho that you're going to want to move to as a gun owner and what you could possibly want to know about them because, well, I am one. Pull! The first city on our list is going to be Kuna, Idaho. Kuna really is a great city for gun owners for a handful of different reasons. It's located about 15 minutes south of Meridian, which is a huge pro that I'll come back to in a little bit. And coming out of the chute swinging is one of the main reasons that Kuna is going to be a great place for gun owners, and that's because of the local city government's take on the Second Amendment. On January 5th of 2021, Kuna joined a growing list of towns when it declared itself a Second Amendment sanctuary city. Now, you're going to hear this phrase a lot throughout the video, and that's a Second Amendment sanctuary city. And for those of you who don't know, Second Amendment sanctuary city acts kind of like a sanctuary city when it comes to immigration, in where if the local government deems itself a sanctuary city, it will not enforce any federal laws that it deems to be unconstitutional. So with that being said, if there's any federal law that goes into effect, local municipalities will not enforce that law. So the local government of Kuna is definitely very pro-gun, which creates a lot of confidence in the residents of Kuna. Kuna has a population of about 30,000 people, which for a town is actually a pretty quaint size, which I'm sure most of you probably like. I mean, fewer people, more elbow room, more room to breathe.
Let's see what this is about. Where the fuck is everyone?
But the amount of stores and amenities are definitely going to be reflecting of that. Now, from what I've seen, there's only going to be about 2 stores in Kuna, 2 main real stores. They're going to sell you firearms and ammunition, and that's going to be Bi-Mart and D&B Supply. Both of them have a phenomenal gun counter actually and ammo section. And as far as legitimate firearm shops go, you're going to be pretty limited in Kuna. There's one Orion Armament. I'm actually not even sure if they're still open. I bought a 10 gauge from them a couple years ago that I used for goose hunting, and I'm going to be taking turkey hunting this spring. And as a general statement, these are likely going to be the only places that you're going to be able to buy guns and ammunition, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to be able to stop into a gas station or a convenience store and they won't have some ammo sitting on shelves. Now, when it comes to gun ranges where you can actually shoot, this is where Kuna really starts to stand out. You're within 20 minutes to 2 phenomenal indoor shooting ranges just north of Kuna. From downtown Kuna, you're about 17 minutes to Independence Indoor Shooting, which is a great resource for shooters of all experience, and about 21 minutes to Impact Guns, which is another great tool for marksmen. Now, for Idahoans, we actually don't even really utilize indoor shooting ranges hardly at all. In fact, before I made this video, I had never used an indoor shooting range at all. We do all of our shooting outside, which means we do have a wide variety of outdoor shooting opportunities available. The closest ranges to Kuna are going to cater to my fellow shotgun folks. From downtown Kuna, you're about 18 minutes in either directions from 2 sporting clays courses, the Melba Gun Club and the Boise Gun Club, which are both awesome ranges. The Boise Gun Club offers a ton to its shooters from trap shooting, skeet, and 5-stand. They even offer loaner shotguns at no charge so long as you supply the ammo and purchase entry fees. The Boise Gun Club hosts training and classes for those of you who want to sharpen your shotgun skills. And for those of you who want to get out and shoot some steel, you're only about 23 minutes away from Blacks Creek Public Shooting Range. It's 100% a public shooting range that is maintained by the Department of Fish and Game, and it has a ton of amenities for shooters, from covered shooting areas to benches and even restrooms. It has a couple ranges, with the main one going out to 200 yards, but they have another one that steps all the way out to 500 meters if you're wanting to test your skills. And on top of that, they even have an area in that shooting range that's designated to like cowboy action shooting, which is really cool. I think I could really get into that.
I have 2 guns. 1 for each of you.
Now, before we move on from Kuna, I'm going to go back to what I initially said when we started talking about Kuna, and that's that Kuna is south of town, which is great because Kuna is surrounded by a ton of public land. There's a lot of BLM land south of Kuna, which gives a ton of opportunity for shooters to go out and enjoy the wide open public spaces. Now, what comes with that is definitely an added layer of responsibility. And when you go out, you really need to be sure where you're at, where you're shooting, and what's behind what you're shooting. And then most of all, pick up your garbage, because just about every time I go out there, I end up coming home with more stuff than I actually went out there with. So just pick up after yourself and make it an all-around better shooting experience for everyone. The next town that we're going to cover is Star, Idaho. Just like with Kuna, the city of Star is on the list of Second Amendment sanctuary cities. In fact, they were one of the first cities to put this into effect. Star has a population of roughly 18,000 people. However, because of its location, it's actually in really close proximity to a host of resources for gun owners. There's going to be 3 main places in Star where you're going to be able to purchase firearms, ammunition, and equipment: Patriot Pawn and Gun, Midstar Firearms, and Bimart. And one thing that I really admire about Star is that 2 of these businesses are locally owned and operated. So anything that you're purchasing from those businesses is going to support the community and goes directly back into the community, which is really neat. And very similarly with Kuna, those are going to be the main places where you're going to be able to get firearms and ammunition, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be the only place where you're going to be able to get ammunition. There is a small convenience store in Star. It's called the Star Mercantile, and they have ammunition in there. Even though they're technically like a grocery hardware store, you can still go and get ammo. Now, it's not going to be anything crazy. I mean, you're going to be able to get some 22 ammo and then some shells for your shotgun, but other than that, that's pretty much all that they're going to have there. So no matter what kind of equipment you need to get, you don't even necessarily need to leave Star to actually get it. But if you do find yourself wanting to do a little bit bigger shopping, Star's only 14 minutes north of a huge D&B supply in Caldwell that has everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. They sell everything there, from firearms to ammunition. You can even get saddles for your horses, feed for your animals. You can get clothing, all sorts of stuff. It's basically like a Tractor Supply and a Bass Pro Shops like had a kid. So it's pretty much every man's dream store. I think the only way it could possibly get better is like if they sold steak. And adding on to the community aspect of Star has seen a flood over the last several years of first responders, both retired and active, and people in the law enforcement area. There's a ton of community support for the firearms community. Just like with Kuna, Star is in really close proximity to a ton of shooting opportunities. In fact, Star is situated right next to the Boise River, which lends itself to a ton of activities, not only fly fishing and cooling off in the summer, but a bunch of people utilize it over the fall and winter for waterfowl hunting. Now with this, I personally don't waterfowl hunt on the Boise River and Star a ton, so I definitely check on like an Onyx or with the local sheriff to see where you can actually hunt, because I don't want anybody to get in trouble because you were shooting somewhere where you weren't supposed to be. I do know that you can shoot on the river and Star. In fact, I know a ton of people who have some really good success hunting ducks on the river, but there's an added layer of responsibility there because it's so close to the town that you just need to pay attention to. If it hasn't become apparent already, we in Idaho love to practice our wing shooting skills, and when it isn't hunting season, we do it with sporting clays, and luckily for Star, it's a close drive to 2 awesome sporting complexes. The Caldwell Shotgun Complex and Rock Creek Ranch, which is one of my favorites. The Caldwell Shotgun Complex is only an 18-minute drive from Star and offers trap, 5-stand, and a sporting clays course. And they hold tournaments and practices throughout the year. Rock Creek Ranch is going to get my recommendation for a course if you really want to put your shotgun skills to the test. It's about a 30-minute drive from Star, but the 308-acre course is well worth the extra fuel. They offer a 5-stand shooting course, as well as 3 different sporting clays courses with over 100 different clay throwers to simulate anything you could possibly come across in the field. It is so big, they even offer golf cart rentals so you can travel through the course. So if you think you're a good shot, I definitely recommend you go try that course. I tried the expert level course right off the bat my first time there, and I am no stranger to wing shooting or clay shooting, but I got humbled pretty quick. All in all, I definitely recommend it. It was a super fun course to shoot. If you want a bit of climate-controlled shooting, then you're a short 20-minute drive to the 2 awesome indoor shooting ranges. As I mentioned earlier, Impact and Independence Indoor Shooting. Both of them are great ranges, and Independence even has a 100-yard indoor range if you want to stretch your shots out. You can even rent guns at Independence Indoor, from simple revolvers to even fully automatic firearms. But I think you'd have to be rich to be able to afford the amount of ammo that you could run through in a fully automatic rifle, unless you have some sort of sponsorship, which I don't. In fact, this video has actually been pretty expensive to film, so your subscription would mean a ton to me. Now, this next town has got to be my favorite, and I'm probably going to be a bit biased to it because it's my hometown, but Nampa definitely holds its own when it comes to gun owners. Nampa is the biggest town that we're going to be talking about so far. In fact, it is going to be the biggest town for this video with a population of 120,000 people. Holy shit, it was 54,000 when I was born. I'm getting old. Just like the previous 2 towns that we talked about, Nampa is on the list of sanctuary cities, and that's pretty much supported across the board. Nampa's entire city council is very pro-gun and very outspokenly pro-gun, which is a great thing for its residents. Because of its size, Nampa has a ton of stores where you can pick up firearms, ammunition, and equipment. I'm not even going to be able to try and list all of them because there are so many of them. Some of your bigger sellers are going to be Sportsman's Warehouse, Idaho Guns and Outdoors, D&B Supply, and Walmart. Yes, you heard that right. Walmart in Idaho still sells guns and ammunition, but there are also a ton of smaller, locally owned and operated stores like Jim's Guns and Ammo. Now, one store that is opening here shortly just outside of Nampa that I am super excited about is going to be Scheels. In fact, at the time I'm filming this video, it's not open yet, but by the time you guys are watching this video, it will be open. It is going to be the first Scheels in Idaho. And for those of you who don't know what a Scheels is, it's basically like a Bass Pro Shops on steroids. I mean, they sell everything sporting related, from hunting and fishing gear, firearms and ammunition, to even like mountain bikes. I don't know if they're going to sell surfboards at this one, but I have seen surfboards at Scheels before. They have a Ferris wheel inside. They even have like soccer equipment, football equipment. I mean, anything sporting related, you can get at Scheels. So I'm probably going to spend a bunch of money there. Another great thing about Nampa is that it is home to the biggest gun show in the entire state. It's held once a month at the Ford Idaho Center, which is probably the state's biggest indoor venue, and there are all sorts of people who come to this gun show. I mean, there's everything from stores to pawn shops, and even just Joe who's trying to liquidate his gun collection. I mean, every time I go there, the line to get in is 100 yards out the door. I mean, tons and tons of people show up. Now, I wish I had film to actually show you guys about this, but for privacy reasons, I wasn't able to film inside, so you're just gonna have to take my word for it. Or better yet, just go and check it out in person. But if you aren't able to make the gun show, don't worry, because we basically have like a 24/7 gun show that goes on online here in Idaho. There's this great website called Z Idaho. It's basically like Craigslist before we got all up in arms about selling guns and ammunition online. So you can go to Z Idaho and then you can check out all the classifieds for firearms, ammunition, reloading equipment, optics, all of that kind of stuff, which is really cool. Now, not only do we sell ammo at Walmarts here in Idaho, we even sell them at gas stations inside. I'm going to take you inside right here. We're at Legacy Feed and Fuel in South Nampa. And you might be asking yourself, is Isaac sitting on a tractor? And yes, I am, because we actually sell tractors at our gas stations here too. As far as shooting opportunity goes, Nampa really starts to shine through here, because not only are we really close to a bunch of target practice opportunities, we are a gateway to a wide variety of hunting opportunities. Nampa is situated right next to Lake Lowell, which is a national wildlife refuge that allows hunting access for a bunch of people. Since the lake is a refuge, there's only a specific portion of the lake that you are actually able to hunt on. And the most popular thing to hunt at the lake is going to be ducks, and it can actually be quite productive if you can actually get a spot. This is one of the main reasons that I don't personally hunt the lake a ton, because it's always a scramble to get out there and get a spot on the weekends. Now, if you have an open schedule and you can get out there during the week and get a spot, I do know it is pretty productive. I mean, I see people stacking limits of greenheads early in the season before we even have the push of northern mallards. So if you can get out there and get a spot, it can be really productive hunting. Now, one thing that you're going to notice when you're out there is that the geese are everywhere, snow geese and Canada geese, and they know that they are protected at the lake, which, I mean, it's great for the birds, not great for us because we have to stare at them. But the lake is a refuge, so you're not allowed to hunt geese of any kind. So they're going to come right up to you when you're duck hunting. I mean, it makes for an interesting hunting experience, but at the same time, it's like... Now, here's one thing that's interesting. You can actually hunt deer at the lake, and this is a relatively new opportunity that's opened up within the last few years because the deer population there has gotten to the point where they can actually allow hunting. Now, its success rate isn't super high because it has some really strict regulations. First of all, being it is a draw hunt, they only give out like maybe 10 tags a year. And then you have to be like sitting in a tree stand, and you have to use a short range rep. And I don't know if you have to use a bow or if you can use a shotgun or a muzzleloader. But anyways, the success rate isn't super great, but there still is that opportunity for you to harvest a deer at the lake. But if you want even more opportunities to hunt, you can head out west to the Snake River, which a bunch of outdoorsmen, myself included, utilize for a wide variety of hunting opportunities. You can hunt a wide variety of game on the river, from ducks to even geese, which is a nice thing. A lot of people go goose hunting out on the river, but it is a really productive duck hunting place. But there's a bunch of islands that go up and down the river that you can utilize for upland hunting as well, whether it be pheasants, quail, or you can even deer hunt on some of those islands in addition to that. Moving on to designated shooting ranges, the George North Shooting Range is a short drive south of town. It's a free public shooting range that is utilized by a host of people, from average Joes like myself to even classes that utilize it for certifications. Now, the range is fairly open during the week, but come fall time, just before hunting season, every dude and his cousin is out there trying to sight in their rifle, so I'd not recommend waiting until the last second on that one. Again, if you aren't wanting to bear the weather, you're only about 15 to 20 minute drive to the indoor shooting ranges in Meridian. As for shotgun complexes, you're going to have a couple to choose from. The closest one is going to be the Caldwell Shotgun Complex, but one that I frequently go out to a lot, and I'm just going to throw it in here because you guys might like it as well, is Idaho Sporting Clays. It's out west of town. It's in Homedale, Idaho. It's actually on the Idaho-Oregon border, and it is an awesome shooting clays course. I think it's the oldest one in the area, and it's basically like in a farm setting. They even used to raise game birds there, so there used to be pheasants and quail all over the place. But you have these tall trees, I mean tall trees, and they're all sorts of different simulated shooting situations. So you've got like springing ducks or springing quail, and then you've got like passing shots, stuff like that. I really like it. They have 2 different clays courses out there. I mean, it is a bit of a drive, but it is a really cool one to check out. And if you're watching this video, then it's probably a safe bet for me to make that you are into hunting or fishing. And luckily for you, in Nampa, we have a very brand new, well, not brand new, it's a couple years old, but a very nice regional fish and game office. So you can go there, get your tags, ask questions. They even host a range of classes over there as well. And actually, while I was in the middle of making this video, they announced that they are doing a partnership with Quail Forever, I think. Is that the group? Quail Forever? Anyways, they're doing a partnership where they will teach you shotgun skills. So you can sign up. It's open to a range of people. They have a limited amount of spaces. I'm not sure if it's free or not, but they're basically going to teach you how to shoot a shotgun. So if you don't know how to shoot a shotgun, or you're not very good at hitting something on the fly, that's definitely something I would go check out. It's a great resource. Now, before we move on to the final town in this video, I want to throw a few honorable mentions in here, because just like the towns that I've talked about so far, they were sanctuary cities. There are a handful of sanctuary cities on here, but they're just so small and there wasn't enough content to talk about on them that I just couldn't make it into a whole section about each of them. So honorable mentions are Cascade, Idaho, St. Anthony, Hagerman, Idaho, and Idaho City. And another oddball that I want to throw in here is Greenleaf, Idaho. It's just west of Caldwell, which is west of Boise by maybe 45 minutes. Smaller town, and it's not necessarily a Second Amendment sanctuary city. However, a few years back, the local government wanted to put an ordinance into effect that every head of household had to have a gun in Greenleaf, Idaho. Now, that was met with some opposition, and they didn't get that through. However, as you come into town, you see the sign, "Welcome to Greenleaf, Idaho." This is not a gun-free zone. Now, for the best city for gun owners in Idaho, Eagle, Idaho. And before I put this video together and started researching this video, I would have never guessed that Eagle, Idaho would come through as the top city for gun owners, but it did. So let's check it out why. For starters, Eagle is a Second Amendment sanctuary city, which is a really good head start. But one thing that Eagle has going for it that none of the other towns around here have going for it, you can shoot inside of the city limits in Eagle. Now, there are definitely some stipulations to this, like you have to be on a property larger than 20 acres, but for waterfowl hunters, this is a huge win, and you probably know what I'm talking about if you hunt fields for waterfowl. Typically, if a city government comes in and they rezone an area and a bunch of farm fields get rezoned as city, then, you know, hunting's kind of out of the book because you're not allowed to shoot a gun in city limits. I've had that happen several times where the field that we were allowed to hunt got rezoned in city limits. Boom. No more hunting, or else lock me up. You're going away. But anyways, this is a huge win for waterfowl hunters. And if you actually can get permission to hunt a 20 acre or larger size property in Eagle farm fields, you can have a really, really, really successful waterfowl season. Now, with all the growth, they are becoming fewer and farther between to find. But if you can get into it, just know limits. For shopping, anything firearms related, you're going to have a handful of big box stores in Eagle, but also a wide variety of smaller, locally owned businesses as well. Big Five Sporting Goods, Sportsman's Warehouse, Walmart, and D&B Supply are going to be your biggest retailers that you can get firearms and ammunition from. I frequently use Sportsman's Warehouse whenever I need to get anything firearms related because they have a really good selection. However, I definitely wouldn't discount D&B Supply or even Walmart. I've been getting some really good deals on ammunition at Walmart, whether it's just shotgun ammo or 22 ammo or even cheap ammo for my rifle. I have even been getting 410 ammo at Walmart. But if you start encroaching on my 410 ammo deals at Walmart, we're going to have some serious issues. Now, even though it isn't technically a firearms or ammunition company, I'm still going to throw it in here because it's really cool. If you are a hunter or outdoorsman or fisherman, then you probably recognize the design on my jacket right here. It is Cryptek. And the cool thing about Cryptek, it is locally owned and operated here in Idaho. It was founded here in Idaho, and the headquarters is in Eagle. Now, I'm not sponsored by Cryptek. I paid for this jacket on my own, although it would be really cool if I was sponsored by Cryptek. So if you see them, put in a good word for me. But I just think that's something that's really cool, is that it's a local to Idaho thing. So if you see this across the world, just know, hey, that's Idaho right there. So not only are there a host of firearms stores in Eagle, but there are also a plethora of resources from firearms schools to even gunsmiths. There are a couple main schools like American Firearms Academy and Integrated Defensive Solutions. American Firearms Academy has some really cool classes that I will probably be taking this summer, both AR classes, defensive classes, all that kind of stuff. So that's something I would definitely recommend checking out, but also what a phenomenal resource to have in a potential town that you're looking to be in. As for shooting ranges, Eagle is very similar to Kuna in that it is close to a lot of BLM land. Now, since Kuna is closer to the Boise area, there's going to be a lot more people utilizing that BLM and public land for stuff other than shooting, like going out and walking your dog or riding your mountain bike or something along those lines, or even riding horses. So we are starting to see kind of a clashing where there's not a ton of space over there. So that's definitely something to be aware of. Now, you're allowed to go hunt over there on public land, but that's definitely something to be aware of with that. And if you don't want to shoot outside, then just like the other towns, you're a short drive to Independence Indoor Shooting and Impact Guns in Meridian. And for those shotgun folks like myself, wing shooters, sporting clay people, trap shooters, you are a short drive to Rock Creek Ranch, which is just north of Eagle. So you can go spend a ton of money and bust some clays up there and spend way too much time behind a trigger. All in all, pretty much anywhere you end up in Idaho, you're already set as a gun owner because the state is just a great place for gun owners. If you want to check out the firearms laws in Idaho, I did a phenomenal video going over all the firearms laws. You can get that right here. And until next time, I'm Isaac Crace with Top Idaho Real Estate, your third generation Idaho Realtor.